Hi, everybody. So I'm here today to talk to you about Bloody Mary. So, if you have watched a lot of my videos, you've probably heard my Bloody Mary story. It's kind of like how I started to get interested in the paranormal when I was in grade two. My sister's friend told me the story of Bloody Mary, and I became a little bit obsessed. And I told my class that potentially our teacher was Bloody Mary, and I got in big trouble. And yeah, I mean, the rest is history. It's kind of been my thing since then. So, yeah, the Bloody Mary story is, I guess, like my paranormal origin story. So it's kind of neat, and it's like a really cool story. So we're going to talk about it today, and I'm kind of excited. So basically, the legend of Bloody Mary is that she is a ghost. In some of the stories, she's good, I've heard. I've never actually heard a story where she was good, and I did some research and I couldn't find a story where she was good, but apparently they're out there. So yeah, sometimes she's bad. I'd say usually she's bad, and yeah, she does something when you conjure her up, depending on what version of the story you hear. So, historically, young women used to take a candle and a hand mirror, and they would walk up a flight of stairs backwards in the dark. And they believed that if they looked in the mirror while doing this, they would see the face of their future husband. Now, it's so funny because I've done a lot of research on a lot of different things, like Victorian era things, and different kind of like superstitions and like myths and stuff about ghosts. And so much of what young women did a long time ago, and like maybe even today, I don't know, always revolved around finding the man she was gonna marry, finding the man she was gonna be with, finding her love. Like it's all a little sad. um, so anyway, I digress. So these young women thought that they would see the man that they were meant to marry in the mirror if they did this, or they would see a skull if they were meant to die before they could have a chance to get married. So that's a little sad, and like doesn't really sound like a good time. So I don't know. But today's version is slightly different, in that we generally do it in the bathroom because of the big mirror. Sometimes it's done by candlelight, sometimes not, but it's always dimly lit. Sometimes you spin around, sometimes you don't. Generally, you have to say Bloody Mary, and how many times you say it kind of depends on the version that you hear. So I've heard it being said anywhere from 3 to 13 times, and in the stories where you have to spin when you say it, you'd have to spin the same amount of times as you said the name. So, and then you look in the mirror and you're supposed to see Bloody Mary, and in some of these stories, she is covered in blood, and some she's not. Some people believe that you'll see like a corpse in the mirror, and some people think that it's just a woman. So it kind of depends on what version you heard, what you think that you'll see. And it goes the same way with what she does. So in some cases, she screams in your face. Sometimes she claws your eyes out, stabs you in the back, steals your soul, sucks your blood. She's a vampire. I had no idea. Um, so yeah, there's like a lot of different versions, and I guess like kind of what people think depends on what they grew up with. But it's really very interesting. There's actually a similar story in Japan, about a little girl that is believed to haunt the bathrooms of schools. So the idea with that is that they can conjure her up by summoning her in the bathroom mirror at a school, and And her story kind of varies, but some people think that she attempted or committed suicide in the bathroom. Some people think she was playing hide and seek and died in an airstrike during the war. There's lots of different versions, but essentially the story is very similar to Bloody Mary in that you summon her in the mirror and she shows up and does something to you, and what she does depends on what version of the story you hear. So it's kind of interesting. I do love to hear when places like totally apart from each other with no connection have similar myths, like similar legends, because I find it a lot more compelling. Like I'm much more likely to believe a story if it happened in multiple places in the world for like through people that are not connected. So that's kind of my thing. But so aside from it actually being Bloody Mary in the mirror when you summon her, there's a few different medical or scientific things that could potentially be going on. One of them is hallucination. So basically, if you're in a dimly lit room and you're like staring at your reflection in the mirror, you might start to hallucinate. People report thinking that their face is melting in their reflection. Their face disappears. Sometimes it distorts. Their head turns from side to side. All sorts of things happen because your mind plays tricks on you. So basically, your brain's facial recognition system kind of misfires and it causes weird things to happen with your reflection. So your brain is telling your eyes that something's going on, even though it's really not. So that's one theory. Another theory is something called Troxler's fading. So this is like an optical illusion that affects our visual perception, and it happens when you fixate on a particular object. So in this case, it would be your reflection in the mirror. So it's very similar to a hallucination, in that you're seeing something that's not really there. Your mind is playing tricks on you. Another interesting theory that I find really cool is that self-hypnosis. So people are accidentally hypnotizing themselves to like see something in the mirror, and this is a thing that can happen. Like you can hypnotize yourself and it's actually not really that hard. So this is something that is, an option. So yeah, those are like three of the potential explainable reasons that we might see something in the mirror when we attempt to summon Bloody Mary. I've actually never met anybody that truly believes the Bloody Mary legend. So if any of you believe, I want to hear about it. Like, what version have you heard? What do you believe from it to be true? Have you ever tried it? Did it work? What was your experience? I want to know all about it. Yeah, I'd love to hear a story from somebody that tried the Bloody Mary thing and had it work in some way. So let's hear all about it. Yeah, otherwise I'll be back on another day with another video about something totally different. Okay, thanks guys.